right, let's put the spotlight then on online gaming. And you have MeTi, which has come out with the new regulations. This is in order to protect online gamers from harmful content as well as addiction, as well as the group of ministers that will be reviewing the GST on online gaming, casinos and horse racing. Joining in right now on the show is Sai Srinivas, who is a KG, who is the co-founder of Mobile Premier League, the second unicorn in the online gaming space. Thank you so much for taking time out and joining in. To begin with, I just want to understand whether or not you think that this legal framework, which has been provided with the new rules, is likely to boost investor confidence in the online gaming space?
Yeah, I mean, see, I think just to take a step back, if you take any market or any opportunity, right, investors like to always invest in places where there is stability in terms of the regulatory environment and stability in terms of the broader economic situation. I think the broader economic situation, I think India is probably a rare exception in what is probably a very chaotic world today with respect to how the economic situation is. I think gaming as a category in India over the last 4-5 years has done tremendously well, even pre-COVID, post-COVID. And the only question mark around, institutional, or should I say large-scale institutional investors investing money into this sector was around regulations and, hey, what, is this sector going to be kosher? Is this going to be allowed? Is this not going to be allowed? And there was always this, a bit of a 10-20% doubt, right? And for a large institutional investor, even a 10-20% doubt is a meaningful amount of doubt, right? What these rules and regulations have done is that they've changed all of that. They've now given a very stable, clear framework that can be deployed for this industry to grow and grow in a way which is very, in a way which is very regulated, in a way which is governed by robust, rules. And I think that's going to change a lot. And I think that's going to make it very easy for investors to invest. It's going to make it very easy for companies to also list. It's also going to make, world-class games happen from India over the course of the next, 3-4 years. And I think when that happens, we'll look back probably at, these initiatives taken by, the MeTi and, the rest of the ministries in making this happen. But I can't stress on how big a landmark event this is for gaming and gaming industry in India.
And will this move to a great extent propagate responsible growth of the industry, because it's now going to curb illegal gaming sites?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think it's gonna really, really enable good, responsible operators in India to grow. And most of these fly-by-night operators who are operating via offshore entities, etc., will, as they get eliminated, it's going to create a much safer environment, a much safer, internet in line with what the regulators and what the government has constantly been putting their effort behind. And I think when that happens, it's going to increase confidence in customers primarily that, hey, you know what, I can go online, play a game, I can enjoy it, and I know that, I'm protected, and, my identity, my money, etc., all of it is protected. And I think drawing this line in terms of what's allowed and what's not allowed was very important to make this happen, because before this, people used to get confused as to what are the ones, or what are the operators who they can trust, and what are the ones which are fly-by-night. But once this line has been drawn now, it becomes very easy for everybody to understand, yes, these are the ones that I can play, these are the ones that I can participate in, and these are the ones which are not allowed in this country.
Do you think on the back of this then that we are likely to see the emergence of a lot more homegrown online platforms now being created by Indian developers?
Yeah, see, I've always said this, India historically has been an importer of gaming content. We always, imported gaming content. If you go even and see the free-to-play industry on say the Play Store, most of the games that do well in India are actually games made by developers who are outside India. Even though India has a really large, big domestic market, it's become big over the last few years, but now today it is definitely big. We've always maintained that, and which is the reason why we've we started Mayhem Studios about, a year and a half back. And the goal with Mayhem Studios was to build really robust AAA quality mobile games for the Indian audience, because we believe in the long term, you will have multiple such studios making world-class games in India, primarily for the Indian audience, but which can also be exported the world over. And we definitely believe that this is something that's going to happen. And we, in fact, definitely believe that, it's going to happen way faster than what most people would probably estimate today. And you wouldn't be surprised if, you will see emergence of multiple such studios before the end of next year.
Now, the GST on online gaming, that's likely to remain at 18% of the gross gaming revenue, or GGR, which is what it is currently. What are your views on what this means for the industry and for Mobile Premier League as a whole?
See, I think the most important thing was clarity for the industry. It's not my place to comment on what that number should be or shouldn't be. I think it's yet to be decided basis where the council eventually, gets set. But I think the fact that clarity is emerging around it is going to be very powerful. And because once there is clarity, everybody can plan around that clarity, saying, okay, this is the rule, this is what it's going to be. And then it becomes much easier to plan your business, estimate your growth, also plan for investments. And that's what everybody wants, including investors, including entrepreneurs, including, product builders. Everybody just wants clarity. So I think I'm very excited about the fact that there is going to be clarity. I personally don't, have an opinion, or I'm not the right person to give an opinion on the number as it stands today. I think that's something the council eventually will decide.
Right, and given the fact that the Finance Act 2023 has recognized the online gaming industry as a new age industry, distinguishing it from gambling and betting, how critical is this move according to you?
Oh, I think it's a very critical move. I think it is a very, 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 very critical move. If you see gaming in any of the developed markets out there, right, gaming is larger than the entire movie industry and the music industry combined in the US. It is the same in China as well. I believe it's going to be the same in India as well, right? I mean, the amount of the sheer scale that this industry will have over the next 7-8 years is just going to be massive. And the fact that our government has recognized it and has distinguished it is a huge, huge sign and huge indicator that they also believe in this industry's potential. I think the criticality is in the fact that they have made that, they've made that recognition public. So pretty much everyone else across the world also now will see the fact that this industry is going to be that large in India. So it's massive for all of us.
And what about the 30% TDS on net winnings from online games in the user account? That is going to be borne by the gaming companies. So what impact do you see this having?
See, I think it's important to understand that, a rule that impacts the entire industry is a rule that essentially is fair for the entire industry. I think, I believe that in this industry, what was always lacking was clarity. So every and any rule that just provides clarity does no harm to the industry. It's only going to do good for the industry across the board. That includes players like us and everybody else, right? It might have certain short-term confusions or turbulences, etc., but that's fine. But the fact that there is clarity now on how TDS should be deducted and what it means, I think that's going to create a lot of comfort for users, there is gamers, and at the same time, companies like ourselves. So I don't necessarily, think about the impact, but in the short term, I'm very certain that in the long term, it's just going to be net positive.
Right, and finally, is there any more sort of clarity or expectations that you have from the government on the tax structure, on rules and regulations within the online gaming space? Do you think enough has been done?
No, I think the government, honestly, I can't thank enough the regulators and the government for enabling the kind of infrastructure in terms of regulations that they have over the last year and a half. I think in terms of taxation, I think probably clarity around the GST and this over hopefully should come over the next few months. And I think once that happens, I think the industry pretty much has everything that it needs, and it's on the industry now to actually pay back by creating world-class games, by making really world-class studios happen in this country. So that's how I see it.
Is actually a game-changing, policy for the industry. I think two things have happened, right? One is, the government has recognized gaming formally as an industry and started giving guidance around it on how it has to operate. And I think that's a long way that the industry has come over the 2 decades that at least Nazara has been in business. So I think we are very excited about that. The second thing is the skill-based real money gaming space, right, has been the most monetized segment of the industry, but it has been surrounded over the years with a lot of gray area and unclarity on what is legal, what is not legal, what is a game of skill, what is gambling, how is taxation to be applied, etc. And this has prevented at least companies like ourselves to very aggressively invest in these gray areas. I think that is very rapidly changing. And the regulatory clarity that we have been asking for since many years is very fast emerging. In this budget, you had clarity on online TDS, which has come through, including the recent amendments. You have MITI's gaming guidelines come through. I think the last cog in this wheel is the GST. And once that is also clear, I think the whole skill-based real money gaming space is ripe to take off. And Nazara is also going to make very aggressive moves in this space now that this clarity is emerging. So I think all around good news for the industry.
Speaking of GST, I just wanted to understand from you, because the online gaming rate is likely to remain at about 18% on gross gaming revenues. What would be the implications of this? Because that would be the same that it currently is, right?
Yeah, I think if that comes through, it will be the best news for the industry, right? But I think the more important news really is about the clarity emerging. It's dragged on for a long time. And now the sooner the GST part is also plugged in, I think you will have a holistic clarity on skill-based real money gaming in India. And that will allow for a lot of growth in this industry.
Skill-based real money gaming, and I know we've asked you this time and again, but for your company it's a very small component, right? So what is it that you would like to hear in terms of the clarity on this, and what would be the implications on your overall revenue pie on real money?
I think, like I just said, right, a lot of the clarity has emerged. The GST part is final cog in the wheel. And from a Nazara perspective, we have been sitting on the fence. We have 5% of our revenues that come from skill-based real money gaming through open play that we run. But that's a fantastic consolidation vehicle. And as we've always stated, that as clarity emerges, we will very aggressively invest in this sector. And this will allow us for very fast scale up of revenues in the years to come. So I think at least at Nazara level, we are now very actively working on a larger blueprint for the real money gaming space. And you will surely hear more exciting news from our end on this space in the coming months. I think it's a short-term hiccup for users to get used to the new policy. I think the new policy is fairly fair. There was some ambiguity which these recent amendments kind of also clarified. So I think it's a path in the right direction, because it was more important to get the clarity. And I think that clarity has been achieved. The good news is that a lot of these guidelines and policies will also really help protect consumers, which is very important for the long-term sustainability of the business. And the last thing is that all the gray market operators, all the international betting companies, etc., who have been having a field day in India, operating without any restrictions, will face a lot of challenges operating further once these policies firmly come into place, which also means that the share of the wallet that they were eating into of the consumers will get freed up for more responsible gaming companies to work towards and get better ARPUs.
The outlook, then just a quick word on your overall margins, because you've been saying that you're looking at expansion very aggressively. Is there anything on the cards right now, and where does that take your overall margin picture?
Yeah, we're right now on track to meet our margins as we have guided earlier. for this year, and the company has grown very well. In the first 9 months, Nazara has grown 80% in revenues. So we're very happy with the balance of fast revenue growth, remaining profitable, and generating positive cash flows. I think that's the right way to approach. And FY24, we will continue to do that. We are seeing large opportunities in front of us, like we just spoke on the skill-based real money gaming, as well as the casual gaming side. So we're also looking at attractive acquisitions that we will do in this year in both these segments to scale our business as well as potentially our margins further.